This winter in South Central Alaska has been a very weird winter. We have hardly any snow, and I want to check out the mining spots and see how they're doing this spring. Anything is possible. Maybe I can get some digging in. Let's find out. Well, despite the warm weather, the river's still covered with snow. I can see a little open area right here, but got to get through some thick snow to get to it. So it doesn't look like any of the prospecting areas are going to be open, but we'll still try and see if there is. We'll go on up the hill. You see some folks were brave enough to trek across the snow here, and I would not dare attempt that right now. It is near 40-something degrees out here today, and the snow is going to be soft and mushy. The roads are melting. It's kind of crazy. It's March. Now in March, we usually get more snow on top of snow. We're not usually in the 40s already. It's usually, sometimes we'll touch above freezing, but we're still in the freezing temperature. The equinox hasn't come yet. And the equinox is when the days are longer than the nights are. And that's when we still start warming up in Alaska. So who knows what the season's gonna bring. We might get a dumping by surprise, we might not, but so it doesn't look like we're gonna be doing any prospecting here today, but I got one more place to check out. I can see some moving water, and that's a great sign of things to come. Mining season will be coming soon, and gold is over $3,000 an ounce now. It seems like just a year ago I was like ecstatic that it was over $2,000 an ounce, and now $3,000 an ounce. It's insane what it's become. Coming down lower to a bigger river, you see there's a lot more water. There's still some built up snow on the banks, but I do see open gravel to work. Now this area is not a great gold area. The good gold areas are upstream closer to the sources. Down here it's very diluted and very, very hard to find those spots where you can get some flour gold. But we'll see if we can get some little powder gold. So besides looking for gold, it's fun to look for the possible cool mineral specimens that may be present in the gravel. I always keep an eye out when I'm looking for panning spots, what cool little rocks might be in the area. Panning may be difficult as the spot here has an ice shelf on there and a swift current right behind it that I'm not willing to step out on and try. Maybe we can find some open water downstream. Check out that ice. That ice is doing what's called candling, where it melts in little strips. Now I wasn't afraid to cross that little section of ice. I could see the gravel's there. The deepest it'd be is a foot. Maybe I get a wet foot or wet boot. But the deeper areas, we got to be cautious of. Now I'm not seeing any spots here that are really ideal for the flood gold deposits that are typical of the region. I keep staring down at the ground looking for any telltale signs. I see rocks that are heavier than others and good indicators that way, but it's just not quite right for the gold. One of the things I look for are the green stones. If I can see the heavier green or dark, heavy mineralized stones, the ones typical of being closer to a specific gravity of 2 to 3, then I know that there should be some flood gold present in those gravels. We can always see a lot of quartz, and sometimes you can get the occasional agate or jasper. Look at that milky quartz. We've got a rust-stained quartz with a granite. Check out this rock. I can't tell if it's one of those gneiss, which is how it's pronounced, but it's spelt differently than the normal gneiss, or if it's petrified wood. But it's really cool. It has that grain texture of like petrified wood, but it's really weathered down. Check out this one. Super mineralized. I saw a little faint glow inside of this mineralized crevice, but I think it's pyrite. Search goes on. We gotta keep looking. So I've come across a little area of water here. Not sure how deep it is or how it'll work. Maybe I could scoop up an area to get a spot to pan in amongst the ice. But I did notice this little bench fan, as we'll call it. So this tree's been here a little bit. Maybe this last fall or the last summer's high waters did it. But it's created this fan pile of gravel in the shadow. And there's actually some cool rocks here. We've got some red ones, some green ones. I see some ironstones, plenty of bull quartz, washout stuff, that milky white stuff. Here's one of those heavier red rocks I look for, a heavier greenstone, another heavier greenstone. So this is indicative that it might have been a little mini dropout zone, and it travels all the way there. Just this little ridge that might have been concentrated. So here's the little water source that I found. Right over here is where the gravel is that I'm gonna try out, that's been kind of washed down. Down below is just the sand, so there's like 6 inches of material on top that's actually feasible to work. I could classify right now, but I'm just gonna do a little speed pan, see if this water is even suitable in the sand to really do a good pan in. So right here is where I'm gonna give it a little try. I kind of look at the minerals as I'm doing it. There was a cluster of green stones here that usually are a good sign. They're not a telltale. Gold is where you find it. And so I got the pan fairly full. I'm gonna get a little more in here. I got some big rocks that'll make more room. So there's some good sized rocks 6 inches down above the sand layer. So I got my camera out here so you guys can see. This water's pretty shallow. You can see all the ice inside of it. Get it all mixed up. All that silty clay. It's the glacial tell. Take a gander at this pan here from the top, see if there's any indicators. I see some dark stones. We're just doing a quick pan. This river right here is nothing incredible, so. Did we get one color? Huh. We've got, let me see if I can get it closer. We've got one itty bitty color. Oh wait, there's 2. We got 2 tiny colors. If I can get the angle right with the sun's position right now, then we can get them on the close-up with this. They're so too small it won't focus on it. Oh well. What's one to do? We have 2 itty bitty colors from one pan this size, from that sample. That's not going to be much. Even with gold at $3,000 an ounce, you're not going to get diddly squat for gold here. But when you love gold mining and that's all you really want to do in your spare time, besides be with family, you'll take 2 little specks rather than nothing. I didn't get skunked on the first pan. Move down here. I see a red stone, kind of a rusty stained one. It's all a trial. Out here, there's really not any bedrock exposed unless you go up the river. Bedrock down this low is really rare. There's some areas with bluffs up further that have some areas that you might be able to find some bedrock workings, but here it's all floodplain. The river rages through here at times, even almost washing out the highway at one point. I got to get little bits of gold. It's part of the seasons in Alaska. When it's iced up in the high country where the good gold is, you got to go where you can. And right now, the closest area to me that I can work is right here on this big river. And even if the gold is tiny, I'm gonna take what I can get out of it. So we're gonna sample right here again. That water clouded up really quick, so I couldn't see quite what was in there. Well, this isn't looking as good as I wanted. Well, there's some bigger rocks. So the top 2 inches are mostly the smaller gravel, maybe 1 inch plus. We'll see if I get another little tiny flower piece. So there still should be those 2 little ones that I had inside the pan from before. I didn't clean it out or snuff it out. It's not worth the time when you get small stuff. The key when you're sampling is production and testing. 2 little pieces aren't going to change a thing. We got some more. I'm going to see if I can get this on that camera here. We got some more. So there's more of a flood line here with the top gravelly thin stuff that gives us that powdery gold. The closest popular place I can equate this fine powdery gold to is either the beach or like the North Saskatchewan River out of Edmonton. Although if I were in Edmonton working that big river, I'd be getting more gold than this out of each pan. They get gold in Edmonton. Let's see if I can get these few colors on there. My focus seems to be bewildered by what is this blue surface here. And I could see the little piece of gold right there. Well, that looks like a fail. That looks like a fail for the picture. It's not tracking the gold in the pan. It's super fine, tiny stuff. It still counts. Little gold adds up. Now, yeah, it's not big nuggets you see sniping or the beautiful bedrock loaded with gold flakes and stuff. But it's what you got to do when you got them buying. When you want to prospect and you want to get some gold, it's what you got to do. So a little picture of this. This tree here creates kind of a shadow effect of the water flow. The water flows from upstream down this way. And there's this little ridge of a bar. I got 2 colors out of this first hole. The rocks were a little bit bigger on the surface, so I thought that would be a more ideal spot with enough time for the shadow effect to cause the dropout of the gold. But when I got to here, just about 3 foot down from it, downstream, I actually got more of the flower gold. If there was a place here where I could safely set up a sluice, I would do that. But there isn't. So we know, judging from this location, that there is color right here. I think what I need to do is come back with a recirculating device that'll stay enclosed, utilizing the small puddle of water here that I can recirculate and continuously work the materials for gold. By then I could work some volume and not be stuck panning tiny amounts at a time. Right here was the good spot. Was better than the spot over here on the side. So I'm gonna take probably 5 or 6 more pans out of this. I should classify, but I'm not gonna bother. We got about 2 hours of daylight left for the day, which is great because the days used to only be 5 hours long here in Alaska. And I'm kind of pulling a glacial gold hunter, like the guy in Minnesota, looking for little tiny bits of gold. Maybe I should do 100 pans from this big river and see how I do and what the total would be. Maybe I could beat the Mississippi, or maybe the Mississippi beats me. Who knows? But, you know, other guys are getting out in winter. I've got some time off from work to go explore and prospect. Winter hasn't been my friend. except for now, with the minimal snow and the free rain. So we've got a beautiful day. Let's get it. I did bring scoops or bigger pans, but because my water is so shallow here, I'm just gonna stick to using the small pan. I gotta move some ice out of my way. This little rock looks like a great digging tool. It looks about the same. What that could tell me is that it's really only on the surface. I don't see any new pieces. I didn't dump a lot of the material out. I kept a bunch of it in here. So I'm gonna change it up, scrape the surface, and see if it's literally on the top inch. Maybe this is such a fresh gold deposit of flood gold that it's only on the top inch, which makes it real easy digging because I don't have to go much further down through the bigger rocks. You don't know if it's fanned out everywhere on the surface at a certain layer. There's all sorts of things to try and hone in on. Where was your gold actually, how was it deposited? This is all a guess and all a theory based on the tree over here. And all we can do is test, sample, and try and isolate how we find the most out here. So for the first day in 2025, I've gotten to go out and prospect. It's the first time I'm off work, the weather works, and it's not completely frozen. During winter solstice, our days are only 5 hours and 21 minutes here. Rather short. Winters are kind of depressing. That's why I travel to go prospect in those winters and go to places that are warmer and experience different things.
So here's the close-up of the gold that we got yesterday. It's not a lot. The penny is just there for size reference, as most people can relate to how big a penny is. So these little flakes are super flat and super small when you compare them to that tiny penny. But we did not get skunked. We did not have a bad day. The weather was great, and we got out a lot sooner than we normally can in Alaska for a casual prospecting trip. So till next time, may your pans be golden, and you have a good morning, day, or night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Please like and subscribe, as they help the channel out. So, Alaska Gold Hunter, Justin, out.